Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, at this fancy new work table I have. And we're going to start today's video with some feel-good stuff. I received a Dear Sean letter. Hi Sean, thank you for spending those countless hours making videos so people like me can spend countless hours less terrified as we do things we're not qualified to do. Andrew. Short and to the point. And in the box, I got these wicked cool decals from Florida Injection, Pinellas Park, Florida. This is gas, diesel, and marine injection. That's pretty cool, but wait, there's more. I have one, or is it two? One wicked cool shirt. It says Florida Injection. On the back, a nice 57 Chevy with a blown big block, I assume. Yeah, I'm going to go with big block. That's cool. You can't have a bad day when people randomly thank you and send you decals and shirts. That's awesome. The contents of this box actually cost me money, but I think the money went hopefully to a decent cause, and it gave me a chance to win. Whoa. If you watch automotive related programming on YouTube, you know who Cletus McFarlane is, and he does a lot of giveaways. And recently, if you bought a few items on his website, you had a chance to win a supercharged, really nice condition Tahoe with a 10-speed transmission and $10,000 bucks. So I figured, why not? I've been to his website before and bought a few trinkets trying to win the Murata that he gave away. I didn't win that either. I didn't win the Tahoe. But if you watch his channel, he has an older gentleman hanging around there named Sam. Really talented guy, quite an interesting character, who used to make and sell car detailing products, and is again, and Cletus is selling them on his website. So it was buy one, get one free. So I bought some interior cleaner with a microfiber towel, and got a thing of spray wax and another microfiber towel as well. So it's buy one, get one free. Can't beat that. The 55 Chevy is about the only vehicle that's going to need cleaning. The other ones are still, not at that stage yet. But I also couldn't resist another t-shirt. If you're an automotive related person, most of your casual wear consists of t-shirts. On the front it just says Mr. Sam's Shine Shop. That's a mouthful. But on the back, keeping the dream clean, but in the background, that's a 55 Chevy. Looks pretty cool. I recognize the bird on the hood right away. So I know Cletus seems to be pretty fair with his friends, and I got an idea that Mr. Sam probably gets a little bit from the sales of all this stuff. So I think it was worth it. It wasn't that expensive, and just thought I'd share that too. So thanks again, Andrew, for sending me the decals and the shirt. It's not something I look for, but there's no way to not share the joy when it happens, because it catches you completely off guard. I'm thinking, what did I order in Pinellas Park, Florida? I hope I'm saying that correctly. And funny enough, it's across Tampa Bay from Bradenton, Clearwater area. Pinellas Park is, and there's a road that goes right through Tampa Bay to get there. So looking at the map, growing up in Maine and still living in Maine, our infrastructure is not what Florida is. Florida has a lot of people. Some might say it's full, but a lot of roads, a lot of construction, a different world from where I live. So, all right, let's get to the real heart of the video, shall we? The inspiration for this video comes from this silver transmission that was dropped off yesterday by a friend of a friend of a friend, I guess. The deal was it was supposed to be just rebuilt, never ran, and trust me, the sun shining through the window on this transmission is making it look better than it really is. My first thought was, this is nothing but a paint job over a greasy transmission. You don't have to look too far to see that the seals are all original. It's just painted over grease. This is not going to be as described, allegedly all rebuilt inside, so What is inside remains to be seen, but it's all the outside stuff that is the heart of this video. The majority of the focus of transmission talk is typically on the internals and things you should modify and change and keep and update, and the process of just a simple rebuild. And I've covered every detail of a Turbo 400, but I don't believe I've ever actually talked or even gave it a subject name of the time and effort that goes into the actual tipping point of whether your project is going to be successful. It is the small details, the stuff that takes way longer than expected, often overlooked, like that silver transmission. This was the inspiration. I've seen lots of rebuilt transmissions where all the details that take all the time are completely overlooked. Things like resealing the speedometer housing inside and out, resealing the electrical pass-through, the linkage seal. I always put 2 O-rings on the pickup tube. That's just normal for me, but at least a new O-ring on the pickup tube. The governor cover and the seal for that. The reverse servo inch seals and the accumulator that's inside. All these items are going to absolutely make your project a success or failure. The nuisance leaks that everybody blames on the pan, because when you look underneath, the pan is wet. Well, it's typically coming from above, from one of the items I just mentioned. It only took, 30 seconds to mention them. I am hours into doing the small details. You have to clean all the parts to do it right, make sure the gasket surfaces are flat and clean. Now, this is another rare transmission, the second one I've done in recent memory, that isn't painted. I'm going to paint it when it's done, if it gets painted at all. But it gives you a clear shot. Like, I had to end up making the governor cover almost shiny by the time I got it clean enough to reuse. It is kind of nice to reuse all the stock hardware. I typically don't do that. I paint all the pieces individually. But nonetheless, every detail is important. Just, I got an idea what happened with that silver transmission. Somebody took the pump out. I noticed one of the bolts is different, so potentially somebody's touched that. You know, you can take out the forward and direct drum and the intermediate clutches without having to remove the valve body or anything. So those 3 come out, and they probably just put clutches in it, never even probably resealed the pistons, stuffed it all back together, hopefully in the right order, and called it rebuilt. I've seen that more often than not on a Turbo 400. You know, just slap some clutches in it and call it rebuilt, and put all those extra seals and gaskets and O-rings in your toolbox. The process of repetition will tell you by feel, for instance, when you put the used speedometer gear back through the new seal, how much drag you need to assure that it's not going to leak fluid. When you push it through there, when you know what it's supposed to feel like, you know when it's right. Remembering to put in, this is an automatic shifter, this is basically a stock rebuild. The governor screen goes in the hole closest to the tail housings, the output shaft, closest to the output shaft. The electrical pass-through and the modulator take the same O-ring. In your kit, there's 2 that are identical in this size range, and there's a third one that would actually fit a bullet style speedometer if you had one, instead of the large speedometer like this has. You can't see it, but it has the one that's 1.5 inch diameter or so. So these both take the same O-ring, and once again, if you broke the tabs, this one fell apart. Its transmission's been hot enough. This plastic was petrified. Fortunately, all the transmissions that I plugged this, I saved the old ones, so I have a good quantity of used ones, and can just jack another one right into place. But you can't put it in with a broken tang. You don't need to Permatex it or seal it. If any of these items are leaking, there's something wrong. Because typically a new O-ring in a clean bore, when you push it in, you'll feel the right amount of drag. It's not going to leak. You're only going to complicate things with sealer. as you know, it's not one of my favorite areas. So after buttoning up the inside, the pump's in, I'm finished inside the transmission. Before I go ahead and do the valve body stuff is when I am disciplined enough to stop and do all this stuff right now, so I don't forget. For instance, I'm dual feeding this, and I typically put a cut plug in here instead of welding the hole in the separator plate, because I'll be modifying the stock separator plate. Remember to put the cut plug in before I go ahead and decide on how many check balls and put the separator plate on and bolt on the electric kickdown solenoid. So it takes a second to stop and make sure you didn't forget anything. Make sure there's not any extra parts you left out of the center of the transmission. Give everything a good spin. I like to do the governor and the speedo with the tail housing off so I can watch everything work, get a feel for it. Again, repetition is your friend for sure. The drag of the whole job for sure, I mention it every time, is the hours it takes to clean parts. It's fun when you get to the point where the case is clean, the parts are clean, and you're just basically putting clean stuff together. You're cleaning a few parts that didn't get clean enough, for instance, the governor cover, the speedo housing and stuff like that. I had to spend extra time cleaning, and of course I make sure everything is super clean putting it together. But this is the fun part, which I always look forward to, because when this one's done, I'll be doing another and another. And if you don't, give yourself benchmarks or, lines in the sand where you can feel like you've accomplished something and move on to something else with a little more energy, it gets, kind of redundant doing the same thing over and over again. So I do things in different order sometimes just to make it fresh, I guess. Hey, look, another one of these fancy workstations. Or is it just a bar top? I don't know. I don't know what these contraptions do, but they make a really nice wheel-around work table. That's it for today. What a day. It's already 70 degrees outside. I still have snow, taller than I am. Every year I take a picture of my son standing on the last hunk of snow. We're not there yet. So today's his birthday, so we're going to go take him and his little friend for ice cream. Thanks for watching. Catch you in a couple days.